Well, welcome to another edition of the Don't Argue with the bloke who handed out the best Don't Argues in the competition. He's the Dusty Martin of the NRL, and I'm speaking to Kirk Gilly. Gids, how are you, big fella? All thanks to Palmerbet, of course, mate. How are you?
Mate, I'm great. Mate, great night's victory there on last Sunday afternoon, which is a pretty big upset. But mate, we continue to see some fairly hefty upsets, mate, over the first four rounds. So keeps us on our toes, mate, from a tipping point of view.
Mate, they were unbelievable the nights. And to be honest, kids, like they've had a few things go against them with injuries and concussions and stuff like that. Players off the ground at certain points. So to be honest, their season's been as good as anyone's. It started off all right for Newcastle, I reckon.
Yeah, mate. Look, the concussion one or just injuries in general, Matty, is that's the biggest challenge for all coaches and clubs at the moment, is trying to keep their best players on the park or keep their players on the park. We've seen who was it? Sullivan at the Dolphins tear his pec, and that's a long-term injury. He'd been a big influence on their first three wins. So yeah, it's they're going to have to dip into their 30-man squads, or probably even the players outside of the top 30, I reckon, this year.
I was actually thinking of you, mate, because, I actually had the Canberra Raiders as the final leg of a big 9-leg multi, mate, and you wouldn't believe it. Old Giz has come over the top and whacked me again. So you got me again, mate. Hey, listen, what about the Broncos? Dolphins, Friday night, cracking game of rugby. Honestly, mate, edge of your seat stuff. Dolphins are on their try line, interception, runs the length of the field, scores the try to secure the win. It had it all, didn't it, mate? It was a cracking game of rugby.
Oh man, it was a beauty. It was a beauty, an absolute beauty for the first first Brisbane derby, really, and packed stadium. So amazing crowd. I think they were talking about the game before the game that the Broncos got booed when they came out for warm up. That's how many Dolphins fans there were there. So they got a pretty decent following after three rounds, and mate, it lived up to great expectations. I mean, I think everyone was probably thinking that the Broncos might have been convincing winners, but it went down to the wire, mate, and it was they're still doing themselves pretty proud, the Dolphins. It'll be interesting to see, mate, now once they've got a couple of injuries, how they're gonna handle it.
Yeah, they've been enormous, to be honest. Like their start to this season, Wayne Bennett, he's just a master. He's unbelievable. I've been watching that documentary series, Gids, and he's just unreal. The way he thinks about things and the way he talks about things, he's just unique. But he's straight down the line. You've obviously had a fair bit to do with Wayne Bennett over the journey, buddy.
Yeah, for sure, mate. He is straight down the line, but he's a deep thinker, and he's certainly a unique character, and that's why I think the media like to try and get something new out of him. But he just continues to play a straight bat and holds his cards pretty close to his chest. And I think during those documentary series that's out now, or even some interviews where he's actually been able to share a little bit more about who he is and why he is like he is in those public forums, then he's a pretty unique person, Wayne. Yeah, and look, when he was coach here at the Knights, I still use some things that he taught us in the dressing room today. Even just one liners that are spot on. They're relevant and they mean something. So he's a good man manager, great man manager. Wayne is.
What was the thing that he did out of left field the most that kind of sticks out to you? Because he thinks about things in a different way. Is there one thing that stands out, kids, that you just thought at the time, what the hell are we doing here? But like it actually had a storyline behind it.
There's a couple of phrases that I still think about today, and one of them is a simple one. He always used to say, "Don't carry your divot." It's a bit like a golfing terminology, and I'm not much of a golfer. I like playing, but it's around hitting a crappy shot and taking a big divot out of the ground. Well, if you take that divot to the next shot and mentally take that into the next shot, well, you normally have another second pretty ordinary shot. So that little line around, you've made a mistake, don't carry your mistake with you. Move on. Put your divot back where it was, and move on to the next one. And I think, man, that was a good one. I still kind of reflect on today.
Yeah,
we all make mistakes, and we shouldn't carry them into the next mistake.
Unreal. Hey, what about the Parramatta Eels, mate? They kicked their season off with the first win of the year. So they go now to 1-3, and they did it in pretty good style against the reigning premiers in the Penrith Panthers.
Oh man, it was another cracking game. We've had some close games, and for games to go, I think I don't know how many. There's been a few that have gone to Golden Point. I thought it was an entertaining game. I mean, Penrith, to actually get into extra time with the head eye and a sin bin, and then for Nathan Cleary to kick a field goal outside 40 to take it into extra time was just mind blowing. And then I thought Parramatta played well and deserved the win on the night, and see Moses kick the field goal. I thought they deserved it.
Yeah, they needed that victory, that is for sure. What about Lockie Elias, mate? Ice cold in that field goal for the Bunnies in that win against another ripping game against the Sea Eagles. I must admit, I reckon the Sea Eagles, I reckon they're the real deal too, mate. I reckon they're, when Turbo's up and about, I reckon they're going to be very hard to hold out.
Oh, for sure, mate. Yeah, they've hit the ground running pretty quickly with the Eagles, mate. They seem to be playing a really great attacking footy. They're playing enthusiastically and up tempo, and that's a tough one to handle from a momentum point of view. But yeah, Lockie Elias there. I think all of them are thinking the field goal was going to go to Latrell Mitchell, and went to the young half, and he seems to be playing with a pretty experienced head on his shoulders for a young half. Great responsibility.
Absolutely. Hey, what about Nico Hines? Absolutely destroyed the Dragons. He's going to just carry that Sharks outfit, mate. When he plays in that Sharks team, they're a different side, kids, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, just showed his class there last week. I think he doesn't just bring his skills and attributes to the game and the team, but he makes everyone around him a better player. And I think that's the biggest influence of top players who your teammates believe in. They can influence other players to play better. And he did that on the weekend.
Hey, mate, who are the teams you're worried about? West Tigers, they're 0-4. And to be honest, we were both up and about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They might be in for a really good year. They recruited pretty well. The Dragons are 1-2 as well. Which one of those teams are you more concerned about, Gids?
Oh, man, I think you'd have to. I think 0-4 with the Tigers. They seem to be just shooting themselves in the foot with some disciplinary errors, around their attacking sets. Defensively, they haven't been great. And I think they're playing under the expectations that probably they thought they would be playing at. And also all of us sitting on the outside, they had a couple of great signings to go into the season. And unfortunately, they're 0-4 and mate, there's pressure on them again.
Yeah, my theory is, mate, that is for sure. What about the futures markets for the flag? Broncos firm from 850 to 750. Sharks 14s into 12s. Eels 34 into 26. The Drifters Storm $10 out to 11. Cowboys 15 out to $19, and the Raiders 23 out to 34. What do you see there, mate? Anything that stands out to you?
The Drifters, I think, mate, the Cowboys are underperforming at the moment, given the roster and where they come from last year. So, yeah, I think they'd be pretty disappointed. I reckon Todd Payton would be scratching his head a little bit there. And but again, I'm pretty sure they started the year slow last year, and there's some question marks on them. And all of a sudden, they hit their straps, mate, and they were top 4. So.
And what about the Raiders, mate? Like, to be honest, they just don't win the games that they're meant to win, do they?
Well, even the game on the weekend, their first half, they went into halftime leading, and mate, the Knights come out second half and put three tries on them back to back. So, they're even going off last year, they showed some real grit and resilience last year to get into the top 8, but unfortunately, they just struggle with some consistency.
Absolutely. They're struggling with consistency at the moment. That is for sure. Hey, let's have a look at this week's round 5 action. Thursday night footy. And this is going to be an absolute belter. It's at Allianz Stadium. Big crowd, I reckon, too, kids. It's the Roosters taking on the Parramatta Eels head-to-head. Roosters $1.53. Eels are at $2.52. At the line, the Roosters minus $5.5, $1.90. Eels plus $5.5, $1.90. Key stats, right, for the Roosters. Joey Manu misses the game through suspensions. For the Eels, Junior Paulo to miss the next 2 games through suspension as well. He's a big out junior. He's a monster. The Roosters have won 6 of their last 8 against the Eels. And not a fan of the city. The Eels have now beaten the Roosters at Moore Park, Allianz Stadium, or the SCG since 2008. So that's an interesting
little.
That's a while. all thanks to
Yeah, oh man, I think Junior Paulo is a big loss for Parramatta. He's their captain or maybe co-captain, but he's a really good leader, and
barometer,
yeah,
isn't it?
he'd be disappointed. I mean, he's skill number one as a front row. He plays big minutes. He's fit. He's a unit, and he's got the ball skills as a halfback. So he's a big loss for him, and you know, I would imagine a bit of a spiritual leader there for the Eels. So I think he's a big loss, and you know, I think the Roosters, you know, played a really good game last week, and I think they'll get the money, mate, this weekend.
Yeah, you confident there? Well, you reckon Junior's a big enough out just to make that? Because I thought that would have been a bit tighter in the betting, to be honest. The market there, $1.52.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, maybe the stat around Eels having no success there in, you know, over 10 years, 14 years. It's a long time. But mate, I can. If I was an Eels player, I'd be jumping out of my skin to play at that new stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Friday night doubleheader, of course. Raiders taking on the Panthers, so it doesn't get any easier for Canberra. Friday, 6 p.m. This is GIO Stadium. Head-to-head Raiders, $4. Panthers $1.25 to bounce back this week. Raiders plus 12.5, $1.90. Panthers minus 12.5, $1.90. For the Raiders, Jordy Rapana and Jamal Fogarty are set to return, but they do lose Jack White into suspension, which is a massive out for the Raiders. For the Panthers, Liam Martin was a late withdrawal last week. He's expected to return this week. Raiders are on a roll at home, winning 6 of their last 7. So they play well there. While the Panthers have won 8 of their past 10 games against the Raiders. So how do you weigh all that up, kids? You reckon the Panthers?
I think Canberra is a far bigger challenge than just playing the Raiders anywhere. So I think they do play better down there. They obviously enjoy the conditions, and they you know, they've got a good success rate at their home ground. You know, Jamal Fogarty back this week. I think he was part of their success at the back end of last year with Jack White and a 5'8". But you know, the week he does come back, Jack Whiten's out with suspension. So you know, you're replacing one of your halves with one who's just on the out, unfortunately. And I think, mate, Liam Martin, his inclusion, if he does play for the Panthers, is a big one. I love him as a player. He's tough. He's resilient. He's got good ball skills. So I think he's a great back rower in the comp.
Panthers will get the job done there, I reckon, mate.
Panthers.
Down in Canberra. Hey, Rabbitohs taking on the Storm Friday night, 8 p.m. of course, stadium. Head-to-head, the Rabbits, $1.55. The Storm, $2.47. At the line, the Rabbitohs, minus 4.5, $1.90. Storm, plus 4.5, $1.90. Key stats here for the Rabbitohs. Hame Sele returns from the concussion protocol. So a big inclusion there. While for the Storm, halfback Jerome Hughes, he's still missing through suspension, but the Storm look to take in the same 17 as last week. The Rabbitohs will be playing for back-to-back wins over the Storm for the first time. That is unbelievable. The Storm have won 7 of their past 8 games against the Rabbitohs, and they're the outsider here. While for the Rabbitohs, winger Alex Johnson has scored 22 tries in his last 13 games at the Core Stadium. So unbelievable stats there, mate. How do the Palmer Bet boys come up with these stats every week?
Mate, those boys, they do their homework, Matty. So they earn every dollar they make, those blokes.
And that's why we're setting these markets so good, aren't they, Gids?
Yeah, mate. They are. They get it spot on. But mate, I think the suspension of Jerome Hughes, mate, is just a big one for them. I know Cameron Munster's there. Jonah Pezzet's filled in over the last couple of weeks and played well, and I think he's going to be around for a long time, Jonah. But I still think Jerome Hughes is a big loss for him, and I just think that, mate, the Bunnies at a Core Stadium. Really, really tough, and they're playing some really good footy at the moment.
Yeah, they deserve to be favourites for mine. Certainly, I reckon rightly so on their form thus far in the year. Hey, Manly Seagulls taking on your Newcastle Knights Saturday 3 p.m. at Glen Willow Oval in Mudgee. Gee whiz, kids. Mudgee of all places, but head-to-head, the Seagulls $1.21. Knights are at $4.50 at the line. The Seagulls minus 14.5, $1.90. Knights plus 14.5, $1.90. Key stats for the Seagulls, Lockie Croker is a good chance to return from his shoulder injury. While for the Knights, Kurt Mann will miss the game after a head knock, but that looks to be the only change for Newcastle this week. Seagulls outscored the Knights 72-18 in home and away wins last year in 2022. And the Seagulls winger Ruben Garrick has scored 32 points in 2 games at Mudgee. Mudgee, kids. Where are we going to Mudgee, mate? Are you going to head up to Mudgee?
Matty, I've got something exciting to break, mate, to you.
Look out.
Scoop, mate. I'm so excited about this game. I'm riding my push bike to Mudgee, leaving tomorrow.
Really?
Yep.
So, so hang on. How far is Mudgee on the push bike?
300 Ks.
Wow.
300 Ks, man. I'm doing it for the Mark Hughes Foundation. And I've got about 10 of my ex-teammates who were about to jump on the bike at 7 a.m. from McDonald Jones Stadium, and we're heading to Mudgee. We'll arrive on Friday. Bit of a function at the Woolpack Hotel at Mudgee, and then we're into the footy Saturday.
That's unbelievable, Gits.
So, mate, that's how confident I am of the Knights' victory, mate, out there this weekend.
You said to the boys, we're going to ride up there because we're going to get the job done at Mudgee.
Yeah. If they don't win, they can ride our bikes back and we'll be on the bus.
That is unreal, mate. That is unreal. But that's like great stuff. And Mark Hughes Foundation, too, kids. Awesome stuff. You guys, of course, done your big Red Centre trip and that last year. It was fantastic, mate.
No, mate, looking forward to it. It's a good challenge. And we're at about almost 30,000 at the moment. We're hoping to get to about 40,000 by the end of by Friday. So looking forward to that. But, mate, in regards to the footy, look, it's a really tough one for the Knights, given the Eagles' form, and Turbo's always a huge influence on that team. I thought Cherry Evans has been playing some really good footy, and Olakwatu as well, big back rower. But I do think that the Knights, mate, have combined really well with Jackson Hastings and Tyson Gamble, with Kalen Ponga being out with his concussions. Those two boys have been combining well in the halves, and made big rap too, I think, for Lachlan Miller, who didn't have much of an off-season with the Knights, late transfer from the Sharks, but I think he's been our standout since he's joined the Knights at fullback. Mate, I know the Knights have got a pretty hefty start there, about 14 start. I'll take that one, $1.90.
On the line. Yeah, beautiful, mate. Why wouldn't you? As you said, they're playing all right, and they haven't had a lot go right for them so far this year, and they're getting the job done. So well done. Hey, Dragons v Dolphins, the two Ds, Saturday, 5:30 p.m. at Wynn Stadium. Head-to-head, Dragons at $1.80. Dolphins at $2 at the line. The Dragons minus 1.5 $1.90. Dolphins plus 1.5 $1.90. Key stats here, all thanks to Palmerbet. Jack DeBillin is available to return from a calf injury. That's for the Dragons. While for the Dolphins, they lose Sean O'Sullivan with the pec injury, as you mentioned. Tessie Nui goes out with a knee. Big stints on the sideline for them. They do get Jeremy Marshall-King back, though, from suspension, so that's a good in. Dragons have won their past 5 games at Wynn Stadium, and the Dragons have conceded 80 points in consecutive losses to the Broncos and the Sharks. What are you thinking here, Gids? It's going to be a big task. It was a big game on Friday night. Is it taking a bit out of the Dolphins, do you reckon?
Well, maybe. I think it was a big build-up, and certainly it was a competitive game. So it'll be a tough one for him to back up with. But I think, mate, big loss, Sean O'Sullivan for him. He was really guiding him around well for those first 3 wins, and Tessie New as well. I think he was playing some great footy up until his injury as well. But mate, they're 2 big outs, especially Sean O'Sullivan. His influence as a experienced half. And the way he was guiding that team around, I think he's a big loss.
Yeah, massive loss.
So, mate, I'm going to go with the Dragons on this one. And, mate, it's at Wynn Stadium. I find that the Dragons lift when they play at Wynn.
Yep, right. Perfect, mate. Why wouldn't you? And the money suggests that they're going to be hard to beat too. Hey, Broncos v the Tigers, Saturday, 7:35 at Suncorp Stadium. Broncos, of course, 4-0, and they are leading the charge at the moment. Head-to-head, $1.16. Tigers at 5:30 at the line. Broncos minus 15.5 $1.90. Tigers plus 15.5 $1.90. Key stats: Broncos, Kobe Hetherington expected to return, while for the Tigers, Tommy Talou is still a week away from returning. Broncos looking to go 5-5, kids. That is the story of the season thus far, and they'll get the job done here against the Tigers, mate.
Yeah, I'd say they'll be 5-5. And I think is that the only team to be going 5-5? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think I'm just looking at the report. Yep.
That's
so, I think, I think the combination between Adam Reynolds, Ezra Mann, and Reece Walsh is a pretty electric one. As those 3 positions are always influential in any team, but I think those guys are combining real well. And I think their pack is experienced and strong. Some of the guys in their pack capable: Jordan Ricky, Pat Carrigan, Thomas Flegler. It's Payne Haas as well. Like, it's a pretty decent pack. Those guys, a lot of those guys have played rep footy. So I think they'll continue to be 5 from 5, mate, which is it's a pretty decent start, that one.
Yeah, no, they are going sensationally well, and good on them, because we wrote them off, both of us, in the off season, to be honest.
Yeah.
And they have proven us wrong, and they deserve all the plaudits they're getting.
Hey, mate, the only thing, they were flying last year and they lost about 5 on the bounce and didn't make the 8. So
100%.
They may have learnt from that.
They want a bit more consistency this year. Hey, Sunday, 4:05 Shark Park. Sharks taking on the Warriors head-to-head. The Sharks $1.30. Warriors $3.56 at the line. Minus 10.5 Sharks $1.90. Warriors plus 10.5 $1.90. Key stats here for the Sharks. Kafusi misses the game through the head injury, of course. Warriors, looks like Tohu Harris is going to miss a week. The skipper, which is big. Sharks have won 10 of their past 12 games against the Warriors. Warriors have not won at Shark Park since 2015, so that's 7 years ago. So they are a couple of stats. And the Sharks, you'd expect, kids, to get the job done here as well.
Yeah, I think so, Matty. I think the Sharks, given the influence of Nico Hines there last week and what he was able to, some of the passes and the plays that he put on, just brought some great experience and stability to the Sharks team. So I think, mate, they've got the roster there to get this one over the line.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. Playing well at the moment too, and when they get a couple of more players back in, they might be very hard to beat come the business end of the season. Hey, Bulldogs take on the Cowboys Sunday, 6:15 at the Core Stadium, head-to-head. Bulldogs $1.93. Cowboys $1.87 at the line. The Bulldogs plus 1.5 $1.90. Cowboys minus 1.5 $1.90. Key stats: the Bulldogs, Pangai Jr. is expected to make his return from a calf injury, while for the Cowboys, Talagi has been ruled out. Tiku will return from suspension to help fill that void there. Cowboys have won 4 of their past 5 games against the Bulldogs. Valentine Holmes has kicked his last 13 goals without a miss. He's on fire for the Cowboys. And a win will give the Bulldogs their best start after 5 rounds since 2016.
Yeah, wow. Okay, well, I don't know, mate. This is an uncertain one for me. It's a tough game. I mean, the start of the year, I would have been on the Cowboys without even thinking about it. But they're not playing to the expectation I think they would have set out for themselves to start the year. That's for sure. And obviously the Dogs, they've got a couple under their belt. They're building some confidence. They're building some cohesion. So I find this a tough one. But I think I'm going to have to lean towards the Cowboys still on this one, just because of the roster that they've got. A lot of those guys have played together over the last few years, and I think that can influence the outcome here.
Righto, mate. That is the games. That is round 5 action. Get me the Gids get on. All thanks to Palmerbet, mate. What are you doing for us this week, buddy?
Mate, the Gids get on this week is, mate, after his Newcastle Knights debut, Greg Marzu picked up a double. And I'm going to go him anytime try scorer in the Knights v Manly game and into multi-Knights with the start.
Plus 13.5.
Plus 13.5.
That's going to give
$3.90.
$3.90, mate. That is sensational. That is good. Just a simple little thing, and you expect that Marzu's going to continue that good form, kids.
Mate, I hope so. He's a bit of a beast. He's a different body shape. Dom Young, unfortunately, was dropped there, and Greg got his opportunity, and he's a different body shape than what Dom Young is. He's a shorter, but he's like a beast. He's like a short, stumpy back rower. But I tell you what, he can run, and he's tough to pull down, and he can finish. He can finish off the set play as well. So I think he got off to a great start there last week, and I think it's a decent bet. The Knights with the start there. 13.5, that's a bit.
You're up there on the Treadley, mate. So you had to do that game at Mudgee, big fella. I love it. It's going to give
out. Mate, I'm hoping the team bus is going past us as we're just pedaling into Mudgee. We might even have a can.
And if you see kids at the footy at the rugby on Saturday, make sure you give them a bit of stick too. If Marzu doesn't score, and the Knights don't get the line, then make sure you give them a little bit of spray too. Hey, how'd you go? How'd you go on the pick 8 last week? How'd we go, mate? How'd we fare?
Mate, I you know what? I haven't reviewed my last week's game.
I'm going to review it. Right, I'm going to have a look here. So you went Panthers.
Well, I took Panthers. I took Storm.
Storm.
I took Broncos.
You've got. Yep.
I took Cowboys.
Cowboys.
I think I backed Manly, so that was wrong, I think.
That was wrong.
So I backed Manly?
Yeah, definitely took the Eagles, mate. Warriors. Raiders. You went the Raiders against your team. And
Did I? No, I did. I thought I picked him in the end.
That is your text message last week. That is your very, very good words coming out. It was a $33 multi last week. Anyway, you've ended up with about 3 or 4, mate. So a bad week there. What are you going? And I'm going to key this straight in. This is how easy it is. You download the Palmerbet app. It's really, really simple. Easy to navigate too. It's just a wonderful little app. I'm going to key this straight in, mate. All right. So you just give me the teams going down that.
Mate, here it is. It is Roosters,
Yep.
Panthers, Rabbitohs, Knights.
Oh, hang on. Yep, Panthers. Yep. Rabbitohs. Yep.
Rabbitohs, Knights, Dolphins.
Oh, you got the
Knights? Oh, yeah, no. I changed that up.
You're going Manly, are you?
No. I went. What's that? Manly.
You going the Knights?
Oh. Yeah. Well, no. I took the Knights with the start, didn't I?
Yes, you've got it. Mate, are you going with your heart or what are you doing? You're going with your mind here. So I've got, as it stands at the moment, I've got the Roosters, I've got the Penrith Panthers, I've got the Rabbitohs, Manly or Newcastle. Come on, mate. You can't go worse than last week.
Knights.
On the Knights. This is great. Yep.
Dragons. I changed that up.
Dragon. Yep. That's good.
Dragons, Broncos, Sharks.
Yep.
Cowboys.
$1.90 a piece there. Righto, that's going to give us Gids. That is going to give us how easy it is. Oh, what do you reckon off the top of your head?
Oh, it's got to be 40s, doesn't it?
Mate, $67.74 if you don't mind, Gids.
Holy dooly.
You know who's put the value in it? Newcastle.
Yeah, the Knights.
They put the value into it, mate. Just because you're riding a mudgy doesn't mean you have to tip them. Anyway, $67.74 for you. If all 8 get up. You haven't been in the best nick in the all 8, but your multis have been pretty solid. The Gids Get On has been rock all year.
Man, it's this Palmerbet. I've just helped, man. I've worked out you can save rugby league in your favourite sport. So you just open up the app, bang, rugby league, straight into it. It's gold.
It's only taken you 12 months to work that out, Gids.
Yeah.
This is great. I love it, mate. Hey, listen, the key message too, I want to say, what are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, you can call the number on the screen or visit the website. Do it in a responsible manner, of course. And Gids, I must say once again, mate, well done on your bike ride for the Mark Hughes Foundation. So you are heading off, arriving in Mudgee, 300 kilometres, a Herculean effort, mate. Have you done any training for this, Gids, or is this just an off-the-cuff kind of?
Mate, we've done a little bit of training. We knocked out 100 Ks about 2 weeks ago, and I pulled up pretty ordinary from that. So
that's all
you've got 3 days of that.
That is all you've done. One 100K ride. No,
correct.
You're kidding yourself, mate. You are absolutely. Have you shaved down? Have you waxed the legs and
mate, that? I just spoke to Bedsy's wife, Denny Wideris's wife, just now, Chris, and he's done 0 kilometres at this stage. I mean, he didn't even go and buy the padded pants, so he's in a heap of strife.
Danny, mate, you're not going to sit down for a month. You at least go to a spin class or something and try and get some miles into the legs. Have you waxed down, mate? Give me a look at the legs.
No way. No, mate. I'll be having just the joggers on, the shorts on with the padded pants underneath, and mate, that'll do me.
Gee whiz, mate. I love you. You're an absolute superstar, big fella. Hey, great effort, Herculean effort. It's going to be a cracking round 5 of the NRL too. All thanks to Palmerbet that don't argue. And as I said, if you see Gids at the rugby on Saturday, make sure you give him a bit of stick too, because what'd you get? 3 out of 8 last week. That's ordinary, big fella.
Yeah, pretty ordinary. Or give us a toot on the way past on the bikes.
Yeah, give it to donate too. Get involved and donate to the Mark Hughes Foundation. You guys do a wonderful job, and Gids, I know it's a charity that's very, very close to your heart, mate. Well done. And mate, we'll see you next week. I'm tipping with a sore little butt.
Yeah, I'll be standing up for next week's episode.
See you next week, mate. Good luck.
See you after. Bye-bye.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.